Welcome to the X's and Argos film session for Toronto's fourth game of the 2022 CFL season. My name is Ben Grant. I've been getting a lot of questions the last few weeks about coverages. Like, what do I mean when I say cover 3 hold versus cover 3 cut, for example? First of all, I'm glad you're asking. I'm excited that you want to learn more about the X's and O's of football. It's the best part of the game, and with a better understanding of coverages, you'll find the games even more enjoyable to watch. So I'll do some of that today as we go through some of the film from this past week's game against Saskatchewan from TD Atlantic. So through the first two games of the regular season, we know that the Toronto Argonauts secondary was a bit of a mess. I did a piece on that. And, they were sending out competent, skilled players, but the communication was really poor. So there were busts left, right, and center. That changed in the game against Winnipeg. And this past week in Nova Scotia, the defensive secondary looked really good. So let's dive into some of the plays that I've picked out here. Disguising coverage is one of the most important things that a defensive secondary can do. If a quarterback knows pre-snap what the coverage is going to be, he's going to complete almost every pass. That doesn't mean you disguise every single play because then that becomes predictable. Sometimes you actually do leave it, but you want the quarterback guessing. So here in this particular play, the Argos are showing cover 2 pre-snap. So the safety and the field half showing deep coverage. But what happens instead as the play begins, we see a smooth transition into cover 3. So Peters is going to drop to take deep third on the boundary side. And I'm just going to pause right here. Let's talk about hold and cut, those two terms that I mentioned earlier. So hold means that the halfback has the flats, and cut means that the corner has the flats. And like most football verbiage, there's like is that called a mnemonic element? I think I'm using mnemonic right. So there's a mnemonic element to this. So yes, H for halfback and hold, C for corner and cut. So pre-snap, it looked like we had a variation of cover 2 cut, but what do we actually have? Well, it's confusing because it's different on both sides of the field. We call that split coverage. So here to the boundary, we've got cover 3 hold because the halfback has the flats, and to the field, it's cover 3 cut because the corner has the flats. On this play, Sean Oakman ends up sacking Fajardo, and he should obviously get credit. It's this huge power move, and as I look back at this right now, I'm wondering what they're doing. This is besides the point, but it's a terrible protection call with a 4-man rush. You've got Furland here who's left one-on-one with Oakman, and this is what's going to happen. But this doesn't all go to Oakman. You've got to give some credit to the secondary. So the Riders have a trips, sort of like a bench concept here with a go route on the outside and speed outs at 2 and 3. Just going back to those mnemonic devices, I call this concept goofy because it's go out out. You may remember how much the Argos struggled back in the first two games defending go routes out of cover 2 looks. And I think that's where Fajardo was looking because he was thinking cover 2. He's got the go on the outside. But remember, when Peters drops back into deep third and McManus quickly expands here, this whole concept to this side of the field is taken away. And because of the rush that we get from Oakman, it results in a sack. This is an interception. It's a 2nd and 5 play, and Toronto was able to convert this into points on the ensuing drive. So it's a huge play, and it's entirely because the Argos secondary disguised their coverage. So in this starting shot, you can see 11 of the 12 Toronto defenders. The only guy you can't see is Royce Mechie at safety. He's shaded to the trip side about 20 yards deep. And so to Fajardo, this looks like cover 1 pre-snap, which is essentially man coverage with one guy who's got deep middle responsibility. The other possibility is sort of like a cover 1 to the field with Duke Williams bracketed or clouded here by Shaq and Peters. So if that's what Fajardo's thinking, when he sees Shaq blitz, cover 1 is confirmed across the board in his mind. So it looks like Mechie, from where he's standing at the snap, is going to cheat to the quad side, which is what you would almost always do in this look, leaving Duke Williams one-on-one with Peters on a go route, and a quarterback is going to take that every single time. So Fajardo, as soon as he sees Shaq come in, he's thinking go route Williams. But It is not cover one. And this is where we give a quick shout out to Chris Edwards rejoining the Argos, because on this play, he's so good at disguising this stuff. And here he waits till the last possible moment, holds his ground, and then he bails. So it's not cover one. The Argos are actually running a rolling cover two. Edwards is going to drop back and take deep field side, and Mechie is going to roll this way towards the deep boundary. And Fajardo is throwing right into a trap. So had Fajardo read cover two, if he knew it was going to be cover two, it's an easy completion for him. He's got this dangerous middle seam, which is a nightmare for cover two. But the Argos disguised it well. He thought he had one. He thought it was isolated coverage on the outside. It ends up being an easy pick for Mechie to track and come down with. This plays a completed pass on a beautiful throw by Fajardo, but I wanted to show it to you as an example because the Argos, even though it's a completed pass and it's a positive play for Saskatchewan, the Argos disguised it beautifully and they ran it perfectly. It's just sometimes a quarterback makes one of those throws and there's nothing you can do about it. And this is one of those times. You can see everyone here except Shaq. Shaq's standing at about the 45-yard line, just above this Twisted T logo. And this looks like cover two cut pre-snap, except what's going to happen here is Priester's going to bail out to deep third, making it cover three double cut. So we get cut on both sides. We'll say double cut. Offensively, this is a similar play to what we saw earlier. You've got an outside release go and a speed out. And we know that this is a nice cover two beater. Now, it can work against cover three, but you'd better sit that go route, and it's got to be a dime. Or you can hit the outside, hit the out if the corner is trailing too closely. Now, I'm still not sure if Fajardo read this right. It's such a dangerous throw, but I'll give him credit. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. There's a chance, though, he thought this was cover two. So McFadden trails. He's still watching that out, but if you compare this to what the secondary was doing in the first few weeks, it's just night and day. There's great spacing here, great communication, and McFadden just misses that ball flying over his hand. This is my favorite defensive play of the game, and there's really not much to it. There's actually no disguise at all. It looks like cover three double cut pre-snap, and it is. The vulnerability of cover three, or I should say one of the vulnerabilities of cover three, is this area right here, and it's on both sides of the field. Jacob Prahl is going to follow Duke Williams out, and he's going to hook right in the sweet spot of this void. And this is a really heads-up play from Wynton McManus. He knows where the vulnerability is too, and he also knows the situation. You've got the game on the line. There's 2 minutes left. 2nd and 6. He knows Fajardo is looking for the easiest completion to get a first down, keep the clock rolling. If they convert here, it's getting pretty close to game over. So McManus has hook seam, so he's going to ride Williams, and he's going to pass him off as early as he can, pass him off to Shaq, who's got deep responsibility. And then he's going to bolt to the slot hook, which on paper should be open in this coverage. But because McManus reads Fajardo's mind, he's there right off the bat, and he's able to pick it off and take it to the house. If you watch it from this angle, you can see there's a little crow hop from Fajardo. That might have delayed him just enough for McManus to make that pick. It's such a smart play from McManus that he might have got there either way. It's just so far beyond knowing your zones and where you're supposed to go. It's recognition and reaction, applying what you're doing to the situation that you're in. It's one of the many things that makes Wynton McManus such a good football player. For our last play, this is just good situational defense and a little bit of ridiculous athleticism. So 38 seconds left. The Riders need a touchdown. This isn't full prevent like we used to see, because that's highly ineffective to play defense, but Toronto is playing way off. So they're going to keep everything in front of them. They're only rushing 3, so you've got 8 that are dropping out in coverage, which really puts pressure on Fajardo. There's not going to be anybody open. And with all these linebackers underneath, the ball's going to come in high, a little higher than it should, obviously, but it comes in high, it gets tipped, and somehow Shaq is able to keep this alive with his legs, and he picks it off to basically end the game. And what a game this was from the secondary, especially when you go back to those first two games to see how far they've come in such a short time. The addition of Edwards definitely helps, but the turnaround started a couple weeks ago against Winnipeg, so it's not all Edwards. This is the whole secondary suddenly putting it all together and being able to play this kind of football. Thanks so much for watching this week's film session. My name's Ben Grant. I'll see you next time.